but one of them caught our eye, the one in the center. He would neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
Alrighty, there we go. That was our scuffed up introduction. Let me just get the game sound back on. We shall bask in its glory. Oh, I've accidentally put on the chants. Okay. Alright, let's go. Here's my base, everyone. Welcome to Windrose. I'm going to be showing off the game and hopefully informing you a little bit about whether or not you would like to buy it. Lo behold my base. We'll get to that in a moment. Have a little look around it. But this is a fantastic game. I super enjoy it. Let's just get up here, make sure the audio's looking good. I think it is. There we are. So, this is what I've built. I've spent about 60 hours in game. And all of this that I've built is with mostly basic stuff. I've got a bunch of trade goods from one of the factions, the Buccaneers. That's where the clay walls and these little sort of weathered boards have all come from. Here's the Quartermaster's deck. I've got the little design I do for all the rooftops here, where I have a beam going across to hang some lanterns from. Puts the light outside as well as inside with the little cross stitch there. And as we come in, let me show you around the main building I've got here. First and foremost, I've got these little sub-basements. Put my workbench in here, right next to the dock. And over here we've got the shipwright's workshop. But our real basement, the main basement, is down here. This is our storage area. As you can see here, for those of you playing the game that want advice on how to do this, walls want to be 4 blocks high. Along the midpoint, you add these very basic floors. Put a couple of posts up, make it look like a shelf. And then you should be able to stack any items you want for storage, one on top of the other, and you got a bag of bananas. There you go. Coming out the back here, we find our way to the stairwell, which leads up to the first and second floors. On the side here, I've got the fire escape from the bedroom, leading down to, of course, all our fire. And a grand entrance to the main room up here as we scroll up it. Not too much going on. I just put all the random consumables in a little storage thing up here so it's easy to get to. But essentially in each of these rooms I've got my own little room for each workbench and all its add-ons. Surrounded it with windows, and you can see here how I've designed these. You effectively have 4 wide on the room, and then you do 2 wide at an angle here and then 2 wide flat, and then you can place all the floors, these single tile floors, in an almost semicircular thing. It looks pretty good. We'll see what it looks like with some of the later game floors later on when I've unlocked them. Here's my dining room, all complete. We got the little cook fire here in the chimney. There's Black Axel doing the cooking. And so you can see here, this is how I've designed it all. So every room has a purpose, has a workbench in it. We've got all the crew that you can buy. I believe there's only 3 of them in the game, but there might be a 4th or 5th as I push on. Going up here, we go to the bunkhouse where all the bedrooms are. That's the captain's bed. There's beds for all my crew that, you know, they don't actually come up here and use them, which might be something that they could add into the game. give our crew a bit more of movement so they go around and do other things around the base. But out there on the beach, we got Dr. Galen, who for some reason is very attached to that one log next to the fire pit. And here be the balcony that allows me to oversee my ship, get a nice view. Now then, here's another thing I've done for my base. If I go to the map, I have highlighted spawn points for all the major consumables that you might want to find. Aloe is weird. I keep finding spawns with one of it. I don't bother with them, but if I find 2 or 3 together, then I'll put them down. There's some flax, tomatoes, aloe. Over here, iron ore out on the thing. And oh, there's the divvy trees. We need that for hardwood. So I've just done this, and then if there's ever anything I need, I can just wander out there. All of these respawn after a certain amount of time in-game. I believe it's a certain amount of in-game days, which I think 1 day is 1 hour of gameplay. And so that's just how I've set up my base. And if that intrigues you, if you're still here after seeing that, then I will begin to talk to you about the game. And you will be able to figure out if this is a game that you enjoy, or maybe get some tips and advice if you already own the game. So give me a moment. We need to get our crucial, all-important MS Paint. So what makes Windrose a good game is the #1 question I'm here to talk about today. Well, I think basically the design choices of the game are fantastic. What you've effectively got is 4 different aspects of the game that all work together to make a whole. You have, of course, the combat. You have the naval combat, or the naval, just having the boat itself. That is fantastic, by the way. They've done a fantastic job with steering the ship and sailing around. We have exploration, which I could just about fit. There we go. And then we finally have my darling, building, crafting. There we go. And so what exactly the whole game effectively looks like this, if you will, with these 4 very distinct parts of the game, all intersecting with each other and all acting on their own quadrant. The way it works is there are barriers preventing you from getting more and more powerful at various points in the game, in all the various, ooh, that's scuffed, in all the various ways that you might want to play it. So if you want to play purely combat, that's great, but there comes a certain point where you've got some armor, you've got some healing gear, you've got some weapons. How do you get further? Well, the way you get further is you have to break past one of these barriers, and you'll do that by either pursuing things in usually exploration, but also building up stuff. And it's the same for the naval bits. You need to go back and do things in the other aspects of the game in order to progress in the areas that you'd want to progress in. Everything you do in this game, all the different ways in which you can play it, all unlock different things, if you will. So if you go, for example, you go exploring, you can find blueprints, and these blueprints and weapons as well, and these will allow you to craft things that will make combat easier. Exploration, you'll also find a variety of trade goods that you can then take to the shop, and the shop you can buy stuff which will allow you to upgrade your ship or build a better ship. You need, I think, 1,000 silver in order to buy the recipe for the second ship, the brig. Haven't built it yet, but I'm going to be getting there, and that's a major upgrade to your naval combat capacity. So all of these things are unlocking stuff. You need to build up crafting stations to make use of the recipes in order to make use of new items for combat, and upgrade items for your ship. This is a fantastically well designed game. You cannot advance simply by playing one specific venue. And here's the thing, I like the combat and I like the exploration, they're pretty good. But I love the naval combat and I love the building. There we go. These are my base. But in order for me to advance in either of these, I need to go back and do the exploration and combat stuff as well. And which is fine, because that keeps the game fresh, it keeps variety in the game, and it means that you're constantly cycling through all the different avenues, if you will. Very well made game, very good. And the number one thing that they've done, which I truly appreciate, is that they haven't hocked anything up. The combat could do with a bit of balancing maybe. There's one mission where you got to go on a ship full of undead, and unless you really cheese it, it's going to be really difficult for me to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it, in fact. I think I'm going to have to stand on the bow of the ship, on the little rod standing out the front of it. I'm just going to have to stand there and shoot them. So once I get the ability to build gunpowder, which is going to come from exploration and building, then I can go into that combat. I can stand in an awkward place where they can't hit me, and I'll just shoot them all. That's the plan for that one. But basically, the combat is solid. It's very much a Souls-light game, in that it's very much reminiscent of the Dark Souls, but not as gritty, not as punishing. You have unblockable attacks that you need to dodge, and then you have attacks that you can block, and so forth. A variety of enemies. The boars are really fun to fight once you get to grips with all the different types of them. Same with the undead. There's a bit of diversity in the enemies. Not a single thing has gone wrong with the combat, other than some design choices that are a bit questionable and lead the game to a bit of cheese. The exploration is fun enough, actually. It feels like it could be repetitive if I push on too much, because ultimately there's only so many types of points of interest. But there's enough diversity within the points of interest, and there's enough stuff going on. You can in fact have a good time going through the different digs for different bits of treasure, going through different camps, different ruins. And every time you explore something, you get different rewards. And the game is very upfront. It'll tell you straight up when you look at the big map. In fact, let's go do that. It will straight up tell you, oh, by the way, there's free chests in a certain area. If you open free chests, you'll get all the main rewards that you could possibly get, other than stuff you can kill enemies for, that enemies might drop. So let's go have a look at that. So you can see here, this little camp had one unique chest in it. I've dug that up, but we can also go there, we can fight the pirates and fight them for their nuts. The iron deposit just says iron in it. And this one over here, I haven't discovered it yet. Or this one, I haven't got and found. I've spent all my time building, effectively, to get this base up and running. But yeah, you'll have various different things and the different types. Let's go over here. So you can see here, you got a smuggler's cache. That's the boss camp there. Ancient ruins. What else have we got about? You got camps, remains, caves, and the ruins. So there's a bunch of different items. Shipwrecks sometimes float about as well. I think there's one just up here. There it is. Here's some X marks the spots. So I've found some treasure maps off of Blackbeard's crew. So I've got to go to them at some point and dig up some treasure on one of these islands. It's a bit rough though, because these waters are level 6 to 10 and I've only got a level 5 boat. So if I engage any of these ships floating about in combat, chances are I'm gonna die. This game is fantastically good. I highly recommend it. Currently in early access, and there's a fair bit of meat to chew off the bone, if you will. As for a kind of wish list, as for things I'd like to see them improve, obviously I'd like them to sort of scuff out some of the issues with combat where it lends itself to being cheesy. We'd also like, obviously, much more customization in the building, although the fundamentals of the building is fantastic. I love the different shapes I've been able to put down in order to get this robust looking mansion. And the struggling within the confines of what they put in order to build things, like building up this little stone standee here was apparently a problem for the system. It didn't want to put that top block in with the floor on top of it. Whole nother thing going on, but we eventually managed to get there. And just playing around with the tools that have been given to us and seeing what's what is pretty fun. I'd highly recommend this game if you're a fan of building and a fan of doing any of that stuff. And the ship combat is also pretty good. Other stuff with base customization, I'd also like more customization for how you can dress up and design your character. Maybe a bit of customization for your crew, so you can get your crew in different uniforms on the ship. At the minute, they just look like the same guys as Blackbeard pirates, but with like a blue vest instead of a purple one. And in terms of the ship stuff, it would be really nice if I go on here and we look at this. You will see I've got two types of ammo. I've got the chain shots, which are used to shoot down masts, and the regular shots that just do damage. I would like to see more diversity in ammo types of the cannons. Maybe some grape shot that will damage crew. Maybe some giant spears or what have you to stick into the hull. I can't remember what they're called. I know they're a real thing, but you hit the hull with these giant spears and it essentially weighs the ship down. Makes it easier to sink, or it slows it down. Also, I'd really like a crow's nest up at the top that you could go sit in to see POIs in the distance. And maybe, because playing this in multiplayer, the meta for playing in multiplayer is pretty much everyone goes on their own ship, controls their own ship. I would like it that there's a bonus or some kind of buff or something that only a player can do if they're directly controlling the cannons on the batteries. Just so if you have a group of 3 friends with you, you could have one person on each battery while somebody's steering. And that would give a sizable enough buff to the game's mechanics to make it worth doing, instead of just having 4 ships on the ocean all bombarding the same things. That would be a nice touch. I'd like to see a bit more intuition. Here's the bowsprit that I'd have to... Wait, is this a bowsprit? I don't think it... Wait, it might be. Anyway, this is where I'm going to want to stand on that haunted ship to kill all those undead later. This game is fantastic. It's in early access. I'm about halfway through the content that they provided, but I've already got about 60 hours of fun in it. Obviously, that 60 hours of fun comes from me building up this little estate here, and I'm probably going to sink another 50-60 hours at least building a bunch of other bases in other places. Also, I want to unlock the bigger boats, so I've got to do a bit of resource grinding for that. They cost a fair bit. Here it is, shipyard. Yeah, so I've got the brig unlocked, and it's going to cost a fair bit. I need to get a bunch of timber, coarse fabric and rope, shipwrights tools. Shipwrights tools are something that you can only get. You've got to purchase it from the Brethren of the Coast. So you've got to go talk to them in Tortuga. The rest of this is stuff that you can craft. You just got to grind it out. 200 nails is a fair bit. And apparently, although I haven't built any new ships, but apparently the different archetypes, the Brethren, the Blackbeard, and the Regular, all have some slight cosmetic differences to go along with their statistics differences. So you can see the Blackbeard ships are glass cannons that can carry the heavier cannons, but they don't have as many hit points as anyone else, whereas the Brethren are more of the sort of tanky, heavy duty ones, but they're a bit slower. These regular brigs are, they just are what they are. They don't have any particular health or damage. So if you want a ready line ship, building the regular variants is probably the way to go. But I think I'll do a Blackbeard ship for my next one, just so I can get some extra damage with the 24-pounder cannons. But that's all my musings and thoughts of the game. It's pretty good in early access. I don't know how long it's going to take them to do it. One of my favourite things is when you're building in base, so you hear this chest, you're using stuff that's stored within the area around your bonfires. So if I walk out on the beach here, see, I can build it. The moment I leave the radius of the bonfire, can't build it. That makes life so much easier. I don't have to pick stuff up. It's a huge quality of life thing. And apparently not every game does this, but if there is... I know V Rising did it when I was playing V Rising. But Valheim, I believe, doesn't do this. Although I will be getting into Valheim when that has its full release. Seems a bit silly getting into it now when it's one major update away from being complete. Anywho, there we go. There's my estate. Those are my thoughts about the game and the design of the game. I'm super enjoying it. Highly recommend it if you like building and if you like sailing around firing your cannon at other ships. A lot of good stuff here. Thank you very much for listening to me. I'm Thrifty Tokens. I stream on Kick, Twitch, and I upload VODs on YouTube on a VODs channel. But if you enjoyed this video, if it was informational for you, kindly consider giving me a follow and kindly consider leaving a kind comment. Let me know if there's anything I could have done better here. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to look at in this game or others. I'm thinking of trying to do some more of this YouTube-centric YouTube-centric videos where I break down little aspects of the game. And I really do like the gameplay design of going through the different aspects of the game to unlock things for each aspect. I think this is a great little game and it's a lot of fun. So definitely keep an eye on it. If you like it, give it a try. Anyway, that's all we got for today. So thank you very much for being here. Bye-bye now, everyone. Bye-bye. Take care. Bye.